live. We're live. Let's go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're on. What's going on, everyone? Obviously, Tyler and Caroline here on the Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. And Tyler, I have a feeling that you got so amped up last pregame show that all the Oilers watched that speech. Connor McDavid heard you personally, and they showed up against the Caps.
I will take zero credit, actually, for that win. But the Oilers did play really good. Like, that was a solid victory over the Washington Capitals. And it was nice to actually have a game where, like, they earned 2 points. That game, one, it shouldn't have even gotten to overtime because if the penalty's called on Ovechkin, then, you know, Washington doesn't tie the game. The Oilers get the win in regulation. So it was great to see them kind of rebound from that and not, like, sink down during OT and let the game slip away. They showed good compete coming back and winning that hockey game. So,
And how about our captain, Connor McDavid, coming in clutch, a goal and an assist on the night? And the last time he had a goal was March 1st, so he was due for one. Colin Leon Draisaitl is ride or die. You just got to love seeing that. You got to love hearing that. And, again, like you said, a game maybe in the past where they would have sunk and their spirits would have been defeated, but a strong overtime win for the boys. Yeah,
a really good overtime win. The other thing that was encouraging is they got off to a really good start in that hockey game. Like, they probably could have been up 2 or 3-0 in the first period if it wasn't for Ilya Samsonov. He stood on his head for a bit. He got a little bit lucky at times as well. But they just kept grinding away. And even though Washington scored first, the Oilers found a way to win. They're 17-23-4 on the season when the other team scores first. So they've shown the ability that, you know, obviously they give up the first goal a ton, but they've shown a nice ability to bounce back and not let it kind of totally deflate them on most nights.
Absolutely. Let's give Brad Malone a massive shout out on the show. As we all know, finished the game with a goal and assist and scored his first goal since December 3rd, 2015. And imagine what it must have felt like to score your first goal in over 6 years.
Yeah, like that's insane.
That's insane.
Like his first point in like 5 years or whatever. Like it's crazy. He's played 203 career NHL games and that was his 14th career goal. And it was a huge one for the Oilers. Like putting them up late like that, even the assist was a big goal. And it was just great to see. It was great to see the depth come through as well, right? Like there are going to be nights down the stretch here where McDavid and Draisaitl carry the load for you offensively. But it was nice. Cody Ceci, Brad Malone, and not just that, but like that bottom six was generating a lot of chances. I thought Zach Kassian had a really solid game. That trio looked good to me, and there was just a lot of positives.
I think you tweeted that you love the first period. That's the best first period that we've seen in weeks.
I think it was. Like they put up 13 shots in the first period. They had 20 shot attempts in the first period, 10 scoring chances according to Natural Stat Trick. The play was all in Washington's end, and Mikko was pushed a little bit. He made some big saves. He stopped Ovechkin on that breakaway, and I know Jay doesn't want to give Mikko any credit for that save, which I think is ridiculous. He stopped one of the best goal scorers, if not the best goal scorer of all time. So Mikko held up his end of the bargain. Team in front of him played good. Like just a really solid win. If they bring that same effort tonight against Tampa, I think they get at least a point.
Yeah, Koskinen with 29 saves on the night, and all things considered did his job between the pipes. And I love to see Oilers Nation and Edmonton, the organization itself, giving Koskinen that love he deserves because he's come in clutch for us in the second half of the season. All right, let's quickly talk about our playoff spot because as everyone knows, the Vegas Golden Knights lost their game last night to the Pens, so now we're a game in hand and 2 points behind Vegas. I don't know what it is, but maybe the hockey gods are rooting for the Edmonton Oilers and they want us in a playoff position. And now, Tyler, these next few games are super crucial and we may have the ability to control our destiny.
Yeah, and I think that's really what you want in a playoff race is you want the ability to control your own destiny and sit there and go, if we just win, we're in. And that's the scenario the Oilers are in right now. They got, like you said, 2 games in hand on Vegas. You're only 2 points back. You have that head-to-head game against them as well, which will be absolutely massive. And then even with LA, I mean, you're only 6 points back of LA. Game in hand, 2 games head-to-head. As you can see tonight, LA's taking on the San Jose Sharks. The Sharks beat them in their last matchup. The out-of-town scoreboard seems to be working in the Oilers' favor as of late. I'm even looking right now. St. Louis is beating Nashville 5-4 with 2 minutes to go in the third period. And when you look at the wild card standings, like it's also important for Nashville to be losing for Edmonton's sake. So, I mean, if St. Louis can finish the job there, Edmonton's only going to be 3 back of Nashville with the same amount of games played, and they have a head-to-head against them as well. So things are going pretty well.
Are you feeling a little more confident?
I am. I think on the last show, I said the numbers have them at like a 54% chance of making the playoffs, and I'm definitely on the more optimistic side of what is basically a coin flip. I think it's better than a 54% chance, and again, they're doing this. They're starting to win some games, and their power play is still not doing great, although there were some positive signs against Washington. Their penalty kill still isn't doing great. If those two things can start heating up here down the stretch, they're going to win a lot more games than they lose.
Awesome. All right, let's get into some roster changes. As we all know, and Oilers fans were not happy about this one, Sevier and Skinner back down to the AHL. Nothing makes sense anymore when it comes to goaltending. At this point in time, guys, I'm not even wasting my energy on this conversation. We have to give credit to Koskinen. I love everything Koskinen's been doing. But aside from the Mike Smith and the Stuart Skinner conversation, I feel like it's time to start building Stuart Skinner's future. He deserves that, the organization's future. And I'm not wasting any more energy about it because here we are once again talking about Skinner back down to the AHL. Yeah,
We've both said our piece on it. We're both on the same page. I think 99% of the people watching this are on the same page as us. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And Skinner signed for next season. You know you're going to need him next season. Why would you not see what he has? Mike Smith is clearly not that guy. But, I mean, I'm happy Mike Smith is at least only backing up tonight because I think Mikko did deserve another start.
Yeah, and Tyson Barrie, Josh Archibald back in the lineup versus Tampa. Oilers fans know Archibald to be obviously a very good, versatile player. We just haven't seen him in a while. I mean, there's been issues. He had myocarditis. Yeah. We don't know how that's going to affect him, but nonetheless, a good addition back to the roster.
Yeah, I mean, when he was on his game over the last couple seasons, he's an important part of that bottom six. He's an important piece of their penalty kill as well. The problem here with Archibald is, again, that he's unvaccinated. Yeah. So the only two cities he can play in are Edmonton and Calgary. Like, he can't even get on a plane and go to Vancouver with the team. So yeah, and when they go to Calgary, the team's going to be flying. Josh Archibald's going to be driving his car down there. I really do think that him coming into the lineup, and again, he hasn't played all year, and he only really practiced for like a week as well. I think they're rushing him into the lineup because there's 4 home games coming up before the trade deadline, and you have a chance to showcase him before Monday, March 21st. And if a team's going to offer you a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick or any kind of pick, you're going to take it for Josh Archibald because it makes no sense to have a guy on your roster, in your lineup, taking up cap space that can only play in 45% of your games down the stretch. That doesn't make sense, but I do think that one of the reasons they rushed him back is so that they can get him in these home games, showcase him, and potentially move him.
Jake says, don't get me started with how mad I was yesterday that Skinner was sent down and agreed. Tyler, you said 99% of us agree with that. Like we said, we can't give our energy to it anymore because just nothing makes sense. Yeah. It's out of our control, Oilers Nation. And another question. Oh, my chat's not loading. Never mind.
We don't have another question.
We don't. My phone's not working. Let's get an update on Nugent Puljujarvi.
Yes, so Puljujarvi skated today, actually, and he wasn't even just a normal practice sweater. Wasn't like a non-contact jersey or anything like that. So I think the safe assumption is that Jesse Puljujarvi is going to play on Tuesday against the Detroit Red Wings if there's no setbacks. As for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I think it's going to be a little bit longer here for Nugent-Hopkins. I'd say he's definitely not a lock to play on this homestand. He was hurt on February 26th against the Florida Panthers. We were told it was week to week. I was told it was probably going to be closer to a month for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. So the end of this road trip is the 19th. That'd be 3 weeks. I'd say it's more likely we probably see him on the road, maybe one of those games against Colorado or Dallas. But you never know. Zach Kassian came back a lot sooner than we expected. Yes, Puljujarvi apparently is going to be back a lot sooner than we expected. And they're all just really, really big additions. Like, again, we talk about this team getting a win against Washington when you're not healthy, when the special teams aren't good. If those things start to break their way, if they get everyone back in the lineup, if they make a deal at the deadline, if the special teams gets rolling, it's really easy to see a scenario where they are a playoff team.
Awesome. All right, guys, moving on to the opposition report presented by Yeg Burger, and we've got a little shout out for Yeg Burger prepared for us today.
Yeah, I was checking it out. They're on the north end, right? So that is right on my drive back to St. Albert. So I'm stopping in. Milkshake of the month, Kit Kat milkshake. Yeah. Sounds unreal. Yeah. Sounds unreal.
Kit Kat's probably one of my top 3 chocolate bars. And you guys let me know what you think. I would do like Reese's Cups, Kit Kat, Twix. You know what? No, I changed my answer. I'm so sorry. Reese's Cups, Kit Kat, and then the Hershey's Cookies and Cream. Can you believe I only tried that chocolate bar like 6 months ago and it's changed my entire life?
I will go Twix 1, Mars Bar 2.
What?
Snickers 3.
Okay, guys, let us know what you think about that, and please rank Tyler's options. I'm very curious about the Mars, but maybe I'm just one of those people who don't like Mars. Maybe I'm on like the weird side of that, but let us know what you guys think and let us know what your favorite chocolate bar is. Okay, next, moving on to the hockey stuff. Obviously, Oilers taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are second in their division, top 5 team across the league right now. Yeah. We know what they can bring because we've played them very recently a couple times. Last game on February 23rd, we lost. However, we did play really well that game.
Yeah.
So the Oilers have it in them to beat this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And I also think that a win tonight could really propel them into a hot winning streak, hopefully.
Yeah.
This is something that they need, and we talk about the Oilers controlling their playoff destiny. It could start right here tonight in Edmonton with a big win over Tampa Bay.
Yeah, like you go Tampa Bay, and then the schedule gets a little easier next week. So this is a really good opportunity. Make it back-to-back wins tonight, then turn this thing into a nice long winning streak next week. And you're right, last time they played Tampa Bay, they played pretty well. They outshot them 23-15 at 5-on-5. They just didn't get a save from Mike Smith, and they ended up losing the game 5-3. If Mikko Koskinen brings a similar effort that he's had over the last 8-9 appearances, the Oilers are going to have a good chance to win this hockey game. Tampa Bay is not playing their best hockey. They're coming into this game. First time this year they've lost back-to-back games in regulation.
And they got pumped by the Flames.
Yeah, Calgary really outplayed them.
Which kind of scares me because I'm like, maybe they're going to come into Edmonton tonight like super hungry, but also maybe this is another chance for Edmonton to just kind of take advantage of maybe potentially back-to-back losses from the Lightning.
Yeah, like I said, first time they've lost back-to-back in regulation. They've only had 2 3-game losing streaks this year, one back in October, one back in December. So Edmonton looking to give them one here in March. And for the Oilers, a big thing is going to be scoring first. I mentioned they're 17-23-4 when the other team scores first. When the Oilers open the scoring, they're 17-0 this season. They haven't lost when they score first. It's crucial for them to go out, get the first goal tonight. It's going to be Brian Elliott starting for the Lightning. We're going to have more on that in just a second with our lineups. But like, you have a chance here to really get off to a good start. Saturday night, building should be rocking with the 2-time defending champs in town. Get off to a hot start. I think that's number one on the keys to the game.
Love it. Okay, let's go over the lines for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, let's dig into it here, starting with the forwards. Braden Point on the top line with Nikita Kucherov and Andre Palat, 4 points in his last 5 for Nikita Kucherov. Anthony Cirelli with Steven Stamkos and Alex Killorn. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare with Corey Perry and Patrick Maroon. That is a pesky third line. That is a trio that will be hard to play against. And our boy, the Big Rig, is back in town as well. Ross Colton with Matthew Joseph in Tampa Bay. Looks like they're going with an 11-7 approach in this one. Cal Foot's going to serve as the 7th D-man. Hedman and Ruda, McDonough and Chernak, Sergachev and Bogosian are the D pairings for the Lightning. And I mentioned Brian Elliott getting the start for Tampa Bay. He's actually been on a really good run recently. In his last 5 starts, he's only allowed 11 goals against. He has a record of 3-1-1 in that span. The one thing, though, Tampa Bay, because they do play tomorrow, which is why they're going Elliott tonight. They're saving Vasilevsky for tomorrow. They typically have only been playing Elliott against bad opponents. Like I mentioned 11 goals against in his last 5. That's a little misleading because the teams he's played against are Detroit, Arizona, San Jose, New York, the Rangers, who's actually a good team, but Ottawa. 4 of those 5 opponents are nowhere near a playoff spot. So, again, Elliott has some good numbers, but it can be a little misleading because he's played against some pretty weak competition.
Some awesome stuff, Tyler. Good stats. All right, for the Edmonton Oilers, any changes in our lines?
So it looks like the top 6 is going to stay the same for the Oilers. McDavid, Kane, Yamamoto, Draisaitl, McLeod, Hyman. Third line going to stick with Shore, Fogle, and Derek Ryan. And the fourth line is going to look a little bit different here. Brad Malone coming off that big 2-point performance. Yeah. Zach Kassian on the right side. He's coming off a good game. And Josh Archibald will make his season debut on the left side of that line. On the back end, they're also getting Tyson Barrie back. He's going to be down on the third pairing with Philip Broberg. I'm excited to see how that trio or how that duo works out for the Oilers. When Broberg was on the ice, they outshot the Capitals 7-3. He's coming off a couple of really good games, but he's playing with Tyson Barrie. It's a rookie and a guy who's not great in his own end. So that third pairing concerns me a little bit. Yeah. I expect the top 4 to play a ton tonight, with Nurse playing with CeCe, Keith playing with Bouchard.
I love this question from Tori Buck in the Facebook chat. They ask, do we think the Ride or Die boys are due for a monster outing against a top team? And I just love the sound of Ride or Die boys because I feel like they sound like a WWE tag team. Can you guys just picture Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl coming out in the WWE and absolutely terrorizing someone? Like, I could.
Yeah, maybe.
Come on, Tyler.
I'm not a big WWE guy.
I mean, okay. All right. Maybe I'm the only one.
Speaking of Ride or Die, did we not drop the shirt? I'm looking for, yeah, we did drop the shirt. Ride or Die t-shirt up at nationgear.ca. Simple black and white design. And Ride or Die, there we go. They're giving us inspiration.
I love it. Okay, what do we got? We got a question here, or maybe even a comment. What's the over and under as we head to our bet of the game? What's the over and under for Archie hits today? Hope he's flying.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we got another question in the Twitch chat about Archibald that I'll get to in just a second here. But looking at the points bet report, see this line, it's interesting to see how it shifts. When the game first got put up on PointsBet, Edmonton was plus 160 on the money line. Elliott got announced as the starter, and the odds have shifted in Edmonton's favor pretty big. They were plus 140 about an hour ago. They're now plus 115 on the money line. Tampa Bay's minus 136. So just the fact that Vasilevsky is not going to start tonight, it makes a big difference on the betting front. The over-under is set at 6.5. I actually think the over might be a decent play there. If you like the Oilers to win in regulation, plus 160. If you like the Oilers to win by more than a goal, 2 or more, it is paying out a very nice plus 290. And I like Connor McDavid to find the back of the net once again tonight. I also like him to go over 3.5 shots, but a plus 115 payout on Connor McDavid to score in this game. He scored last game. He's starting to get going a little bit. I think we're due for a McDavid heater right away. Yeah. One of those 10-game runs where he puts up like 22 points or something stupid. I think we could see a good night from Connor.
And what do we do when we're underdogs?
Oh. They are. Yes, they are. All right,
dogs. Let's get to the comments. Yeah. I feel another good chocolate picked out from our box of chocolates. I agree, Colin.
A lot of chocolate talk recently.
I love it. I feel like that needs to be another meme. We'll get Kennedy on it.
Mistaken Mexican says Snickers. Oof. Kylie says, are Reese's really a chocolate bar, though?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
But they're not in the bar shape.
But they're they're packaged in a bar
fair.
Shape, and it's just strategic because it makes you feel like you have more, right? You get 3 cups.
Yeah. All right.
Then you get the king size. Now I'm going crazy, but guys, you know the king size.
Alex Kuzniar says Hershey, Kinder, and then Reese's. That's an interesting trio.
Nice.
Kylie's with me, says Mars bars are amazing. The Predators officially lost. That's big for the Oilers. They're gonna big break on the out-of-town scoreboard once again. Kylie says, we heart Brad Malone. Mistaken Mexican, Connor and Leon, 5 points each tonight.
Nice.
I'm looking at the odds on that. What do we got? I think over 1.5 points. McDavid was plus 115. Draisaitl's plus 125. The most you can get them is 3 or more points. McDavid's plus 290. Draisaitl's plus 320.
Jake says y'all are sleeping on Coffee Crisp. I think Coffee Crisp is one of those average chocolate bars, but
super average.
Sometimes I feel like I like it. And another one that's a little like slept on, I think, are Bounty. Have you ever had Bounty?
I've never had Bounty.
If you love like the coconut in the chocolate. Okay, guys, I think we need to do a complete, maybe when the Oilers secured a playoff spot and we're feeling good, we're going to have just one show dedicated to our favorite chocolate bars, okay?
Not Puljujarvi. Tyler, would you trade Archibald for a depth defenseman 1-for-1? I would. I don't know if that deal's out there. I think really teams that would be looking to add Archibald are probably Eastern Conference teams in a playoff spot. The one I'm looking at is probably the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think they're a good fit. They could use some depth in their bottom 6, and the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, they'll only be playing American teams. There's no Canadian team in that division. So Penguins might take a look at him. He's played in Pittsburgh before. He'd be able to play for them the rest of the year and in the playoffs for the first 2, maybe all the rounds, right? So I think Pittsburgh would be an interesting fit for Archibald. I think Washington would be an interesting fit for Archibald for the same kind of reasons, but those teams aren't going to send you back a depth defenseman. So again, the most likely scenario is you trade Archibald, you get a 5th or a 6th rounder, you use that pick or another pick, and you go get your defenseman there.
All right. Awesome stuff. Any other comments?
A lot of chocolate talk.
I love it, guys. I love it. This is going to be a thing.
And yeah, someone asking how we think Archibald will do. And I mean, this is an important 4-game stretch, not just for the Oilers, but for Archibald personally. Like, if he comes out and is a step behind and doesn't play well, he's not going to get to play a lot down the stretch. He's not going to get traded. And, I mean, he's heading into an offseason where he doesn't have a contract. Like, his NHL career, in a weird way, is kind of on the line in these 4 games. So I'm expecting him to come out and play hard, play like he is playing for a contract, play like his NHL life is on the line, because it honestly kind of is.
Okay, what are your parting words of wisdom? Because I feel like you did fire up everyone before the last game. So you have anything else?
They just need a hot start. I think that's number 1 on the list.
Tyler.
Yeah, like that 4th line, Cassian, Malone, and Archibald. They can all hit. They all move pretty well. Go out there early, set the tone physically, get some chances on Brian Elliott. Because like I said, he's had some good numbers, but he hasn't played a team that's as offensively dynamic as the Oilers in that stretch. Hit early, and then get to Elliott early. Those are the 2 big keys to the game.
Awesome, guys. This has been your Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Grab your favorite chocolate bar. Enjoy the game tonight, 8 o'clock p.m. Puck drop, and we'll see you next game day. Bye.